You're listening to RTI Audio, powered by Rocky Top Insider. This is Pancakes and Bacon with VFL, Kyler Kerbyson, and Reed Bacon.
Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Pancakes and Bacon. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Kerbyson, joined with Reed Bacon. We got another great one. We're sitting in a little snowpocalypse right now in Nashville. So excited to jump on with my buddy here. Before we get into everything, if you guys are watching, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment. If you're just listening, rate, review, download, re-download, follow us on all those listening platforms. Follow us on social media. Everything in the description below. But yeah, we're going to be talking about transfer portal a lot today. Guys that are leaving, guys that are coming in. We're also dabbling in on the coaches that we hired over the past month, where this team looks, and then our little season wrap up. So going to be a great one. Let's hop into it. Reed, how are we doing, bud?
Wow. I'm fired up. It feels good to be back and seeing you. We kind of kept pushing this puppy over and over, which worked out because of all the great stuff we get to talk about now.
True.
It was bad, man. I was like a fiend on Twitter, just every 30 minutes it felt like watching transfer portal, so just updating. Which the crazy thing is, that's how I always am with NFL free agency. I love NFL free agency, like I love the draft, but that's usually during Lent, which I usually give up Twitter during that time, and so I'm just like on the NFL or the NFL, like refreshing it, which is much better for me because then I don't get distracted on X. But I'm so juiced to be back and talking with you.
Definitely.
You and I have not talked about any of these players. I mean, I know that you've been busy doing some stuff, and so we've talked, but we haven't sat down and grabbed an hour and just kind of gone through it. And I'm very excited about that and going to enjoy this.
Let's keep it fresh in the brain. I want to come in here blind and then talk to each other and see if we're on the same page, because usually we are.
Yeah.
Usually we're in lockstep.
Yeah.
So I like to kind of almost test it a little bit.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I mean, I watched and that's another thing I will say. I enjoyed. We would get a new recruit, and I would read a little bit about them. Then I would go to their stats page, look at some stats, and the games that were most active stat-wise is like, okay, then I would go pull up YouTube and I would type in, because most of these guys are not going to have their own highlight tapes, which I don't necessarily want to watch highlight tapes. If I can kind of watch a game, then that's great, because I'm going to see some bad and some good. And so, for example, like I would go, and Penn State was an easy one to do because we ended up getting 4 guys from Penn State, 3 guys that played a lot. And so I went and watched I watched the last fourth quarter of their Indiana game live, but I'm not sitting there watching for players that I think we're going to have, or that Jim Knowles is going to be our defensive coordinator. But I go back and watch those like 15 to 18-minute YouTube clips. And then if it's a defensive guy, I just skip through the offense. So I felt like I got to watch a good amount of stuff pretty quickly and pretty efficiently. So I enjoyed that. But you and I have not conversated back and forth, and a lot has happened since we jumped off here, so I'm just excited. But before we kind of get into that, how have you been? I know you tweaked your back a little bit.
Tweaked it back a little bit on Friday. I have no idea how. Maybe just being on my feet a lot on Thursday. I don't know. Woke up Friday hurting. So past few days have been a little out of commission. Starting to get better, but if you see me moving around a lot more in this podcast episode, it is because of that. Just trying to adjust and keep it loose. But yeah, besides that, since our last podcast, I went to brother's bachelor party, which was a heck of a time with his friends, and his wife's friends. It was a combo bachelorette. We went to Pigeon Forge, stayed in a cabin. And it is very funny being the old person there at 32. He's 26, almost 27, with all of his friends. It's really cool to see how many friends he has and how much both of their friends get along. So she has a huge group, he has a huge group, and they both get along. They actually have like 2 or 3 people that are together in their friend groups. So that works out well for them.
Yes.
But it was a fun time watching some stupid decisions being made, drinking my Diet Coke, playing euchre. But it was great. It was great. I had a good time.
Good. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I remember I called you. You answered, and you're like, "You'll never guess who I'm in the car with right now." I was like, "Who's that?" And you said, "I'm with John." I'm like, "Oh, you and Big John? Like, that's cool." I was like, John lives in Nashville. You live in Nashville. I'm like, "Where are you guys going out?" It was a Friday. And I was like, "You guys going out to grab some dinner, grab some drinks?" You're like, "No, dude, we're actually pulling into the cabin in Gatlinburg. We're about to go to John's bachelor party." And I was like, "Oh boy."
Uh-oh.
You know what's funny is John was actually at your bachelor party, and I think he was about 16. Now, granted, he did not partake in any of the activities that we did, but he sure laughed a lot.
He had a fucking hell of a time.
Mm-hmm.
John did at my bachelor party. He just died laughing the entire time. He was a wee high schooler at that point. But his friends were asking me questions about my bachelor party, because John, when he had that experience, went back, told all his friends about it. It was just like, this thing and this thing and this thing. So they were asking me about that kind of stuff. And
that was your bachelor party. Funny because John's a lot like you and me in that matter of fact, that we both have kind of grown up. We've all had like the baby faces, but John had a big time baby face, even though he was like huge. I mean, John's bigger. I mean, John, I guess, is he a little bit taller than you, or are y'all the same? Is he 6'4" too?
I think he's a little bit taller than I am.
Yeah.
I think he's a tad taller, and then he's hovering around like 300 pounds right now. So
yeah. But even when he was younger, like he was a bigger kid. And so even at 16, he's a big kid, but he just got this, 15, 16-year-old's face. And he just has those Kerbyson cheeks. And he was just dying laughing, man. He thought we were the funniest people in the world, which I think we are pretty funny. And the bachelor party was extremely funny because it was a mix between myself and your other high school friends, and then your college other lineman friends. And so that dynamic was hilarious. That it was almost like a little full circle when I was talking to you, and I was like, there was a part of me that I was
wishes you were there.
So I got off the phone with you, and I was like, I don't want to invite myself, but I was like, if I wasn't married and like didn't have anything going on, I'd be like, "Yo, Kyler, like, give me the address, and I'm gonna come chill with you, and just hang out, see John for a little bit. Like, I don't want to invade their space, but you and I can still, if it's a cabin, I'm sure we can go find a quiet corner to just chat and catch up." So it was funny. It was funny, but yeah, I'm glad you got to do that. That's cool stuff. I feel bad for everybody in Nashville right now. Tons of people over there without power, which is brutal. Hey, I love snow. I'm a kid. I want to be out in it, walk in it, play in it, sled in it, do whatever. But if I have to lose power and don't have a generator and freaking no TV, no internet, no Xbox, no playoff games here, no playoff football games yesterday, I would have been pissed. And that, like, you get cabin fever just normally being in the house for a day or so, but doing it with no power or anything, like, that would be brutal. So I feel for those people. Other than that, bacon junk removal. I was outside today freezing my buns off for a little bit of work. Reach out if anybody needs anything. Honestly, I know there's probably a lot of you that listen to this, and even if you're not in the Knoxville area, if you have friends and family in Knoxville, and you want to just pass the word along, if you want to give us a follow or a like or a review on Google or any of the socials, that stuff means everything because that's just the world it is. It's, hey, I need junk removal. Let me Google it. Okay. Who has good reviews? Who's, stuff like that. So anyways, bacon junk removal, reach out to us. Kyler, I'm going to hit you with something.
Hit me with it.
And then this will take us in to everything we're talking about today. I could be wrong, but I've been thinking about this, and this is what happens when we don't go for a while and we don't talk for a while because I start reflecting. So ever since the transfer portal and NIL has been around for 4 or 5 years now, whatever it is, and there's always that discussion of, do you go after high school kids? Do you go after portal kids? Well, Signetti brought a bunch of people from JMU. They're a bunch of old heads. Do you go after older guys? Well, do you not recruit high school? You pay somebody, then sit on your bench, and then he leaves. And there's just so many things about it. I've had some really good conversations with Jack, my good buddy, which he actually is now in Knoxville, which is great. So he and I have gotten some lunch and dinners, had conversations. We've talked on Xbox Live. And I thought he's made some good points that kind of made me think. And I'm gonna give you the portal rankings from last year, and then I'm gonna tie this in a bow and finish kind of my opening statement. This is last year's portal rankings. Mm-hmm. Number 1 was Texas Tech. Number 2 was LSU. Number 3 was Ole Miss. Number 4 was Oregon. Number 5 was Miami. Number 6 was Missouri. Number 7 was Auburn, and number 8 was UNC. So you hear those, and you're like, well, Texas Tech got to the dance. They spent the money. They didn't get close to winning it, in my opinion. Like, they were in the dance, but they were like us. They were us last year. I mean, they didn't get blown out, but like, hey, congrats, you made the playoffs. And I'm proud Tennessee made the playoffs, but like, you weren't going to win the championship. LSU, disastrous year. I mean, how do LSU donors feel that they spent a ton of money on guys and then they're horrendous this year? Coach gets fired. Mm-hmm. Then you got Ole Miss. Ole Miss almost made it to the national championship, but they got pretty fortunate with Trinidad Chambliss. They were all in on Austin Sanders. He gets hurt, and just one of those really cool college stories happens. So they got lucky. Like, it is what it is. And I don't remember if I told this story on here or if I told this story to the guys on Xbox Live. I may have told it on here. Did I tell the story about how they reached out to the MTSU quarterback? You remember if I said that on here?
Yeah, I think you did say that. Yeah.
So refresher, if someone didn't hear it. I was talking to a guy who was one of the starting quarterbacks at MTSU. He went to Catholic. We have some mutual friends. We were at a wedding together. We were sitting there talking. He's like, dude, you'll never guess. Like, before Ole Miss went out and got Trinidad Chambliss, they reached out to our guy who was my backup. This is what the guy's saying. He says, my backup, I've graduated. He's going to be the starter at MTSU. They called, and I think they offered him $60,000, $65,000 to come be the backup in Ole Miss because they all were like, hey, we just want you to be a backup. We need a depth piece, but like Austin Sanders is our guy. Like, he's our savior. Yeah. Like, they were all in on him. He gets hurt, and then they get lucky that Trinidad Chambliss is awesome. Because what if the MTSU guy says, okay, I'll come be your backup and take the money and not be a starter? We maybe never hear about Trinidad.
Yeah.
And so that's something that you kind of have to keep in mind. Number 4, Oregon, they made it. They had a chance. Miami obviously is in the national championship game. But then you got Missouri and Auburn and UNC, and UNC was horrendous. Now, granted, they're a different situation. They had so many transfer guys because it was Bill Belichick's first year, but they still lived in that transfer portal area, and, it didn't work out for them. Auburn, disaster, and Missouri was fine. They were okay. If I'm one of those donors at Missouri, I'm not pumped with how our season went, depending on if I spend a bunch of money there.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, Kyler, and it always happens in sports, you look at it in the NFL a lot and now that I'm old enough to kind of think about it and put it together, and I've watched enough that I remember, but it was, pretty topical. The Seattle Seahawks are back in the Super Bowl. Well, when we were in college, it was everybody wanted the Richard Shermans and the Brandon Browners and those big, tall corners. And that was the next wave of the NFL. But then you've got, the Chiefs and Chiefs and Rams, they each score 60-something points on a Monday night football game or a Thursday night football game. Hey, that's where the NFL is going. That's where the NFL is going. It's high flying, no more defenses. Now we got two high safeties. We got a lot of two high safeties. You're taking the deep shots. You got to run the ball now, play a little small ball. Like everything with sports and ebbs and flows. And there's always these besides ebbs and flows, I'm looking for another word. I can't think of it right now. Trends. There's always these trends. Yeah. It was like Ohio State or, Michigan a couple years ago was the big trend because they had a bunch of old heads. They got them to come back because they could pay them, and they won a national championship with their cheating, sign stealing, all that. I mean, they still won it. But it's like, and then you got Ohio State. Well, Ohio State wins it. Everyone's like, holy shit, this team's incredible. No wonder they won. They spent $20 million on a roster. So then you got Texas and Texas Tech and all these oil money people pumping in tons of money, $30 million roster, $40 million. Well, what happened to Texas this year? I mean, Texas Tech couldn't even score on offense. That's and then right. It's like, then it's this year. It's like, well, Kirk Cinetti, he's got a bunch of old heads. Like he's got a bunch of this, that, and the other. And it's like, okay, yeah, like that's fine. And that is one thing that I do like. I mean, you and I have talked about it a bunch. Like we do think that 22, 23, and 24 and 25-year-olds has a lot better chance, even if they came out of high school at 3 stars. They're probably going to be able to shove some of those 4 and 5-star high school kids in the lockers because it's just right. You're just more developed. So I do think there's a little bit of that one. But to wrap all this up, I just think what matters what has always matters still matters. And it doesn't matter with Coach Heupel in Tennessee if they get high school guys, if they get portal guys, if they get older guys, if they get more discipline instead of flash or less talent or whatever you want to argue. Here's what's going to win you football games. You still got to have a good line of scrimmage, no matter how you get it. Mm-hmm. You still got to have a good quarterback. I think the best team this year had the best quarterback. I love Fernando. I thought he was awesome. Now, granted, I'm only really watching him in a couple games, but I think he had everything that you needed. You had guys that made clutch plays, maybe not the biggest names, but you got a 6'4" white boy out here from Nashville balling on people because he makes every clutch catch that they throw to him. Mm-hmm. And then you got a disciplined and tough football team. They don't beat themselves, which is something you talk about all the time on this podcast with this year's Tennessee team. Yeah. They don't turn it over. They play physical. Since the inception of football, those things are what wins you games: lines of scrimmage, clutch plays, good quarterback, and don't beat yourself. And so it's like, I don't really care, and I don't think that there is a one magic bullet that like we have to. Heupel's got to get away from high school, go get portal guys. Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's like I'm tired of hearing that stuff, and I'll wrap it up to say this: I don't care where you find them, I don't care how you get them, I don't care how you coach them up or what do you do, but that's what you have to find. And now that we're removed from the situation a little bit, I think it's good for me because I'm sitting there saying, hey, like, you're Tennessee. It's unacceptable to go into next season with this. It's unacceptable to get bullied by Vanderbilt like that at home or whatever the case. And I have to remind myself, like, college football is really hard. I'm not making excuses for Tennessee and Heupel. I'm still not pumped with some of the things, but, like, it's still really hard. And all the teams that think they have it figured out, they don't. Like, Ohio State was not – they didn't go back-to-back after, Ohio State's really good. They got the best talent. They pay a bunch of people. Like I said, Texas didn't even make the dance. So you still have to line up and win these games, and what I mentioned wins it. I don't know what your thoughts on are kind of all that.
I'm hearing what you're saying. I think a lot of those trends that you mentioned or ways in which these teams try and follow whatever anybody else did is it's having a one-track mind. Yes, player acquisition is very important. You need to have good players, but that's not the only thing. I think people get wrapped up in, well, as long as we do this, we're going to be good. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. You can have the best recruiting class in the nation. Before NIL period, there was plenty of teams who had fantastic recruiting classes and then won nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They won maybe 9-10 games, but they didn't win something legitimate. And it's going to be the exact same way in the transfer portal, where you can have a lot of these guys, but it doesn't mean you're going to win anything. And then you touched on it. The reason why Indiana won the national championship is not because they brought in a ton of dudes in the transfer portal that are dogs that are 4 and 5 stars. That is not why they won. Did they bring in guys that were good for their team and help them win? Definitely. Not saying that. But there's a lot of other stuff that they had to do, that Coach Signetti had to incorporate into his culture and his team, that caused them to win. Your point about Vanderbilt, can't lose to Vanderbilt, can't get pushed around to Vanderbilt at home. I'm sure that is exactly what every Big Ten team said that was playing Indiana. I'm sure that's what they said, because Indiana was the worst college football team ever before 2 years ago, before Kurt Signetti got there. And I'm sure every Big Ten team was like, you don't lose to Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
You don't lose to Indiana.
That's a great – I don't mean to interrupt, but that's a great point, because I wasn't even thinking about that. And I'm not
and now it's just like, that shit don't matter, dude. Like, I don't care anymore. Like, these teams can be really good or can be really bad. You could have a huge brand name team be shitty. That can happen. Get beat up by a team that's not supposed to be that good. And just by their name, because it's an open market now.
I don't mean to cut you off, and I want you to keep going, but it's not even talking about Indiana this year. I didn't think about it, but like Indiana last year, where they were like kind of decent, but like, I'm just throwing out an example. I'm not saying that they lost or beat one of these teams, but like even a Michigan State or like an Iowa, if they had lost, I don't remember if they did or not, but like if they had lost to Indiana last year, not this past season, they're like, what the hell is this? How did we lose to a JMU coach? And then, for example,
Exactly.
and then I got to give you credit this year when we were playing Vandy. You're like, bro, this is not your grandfather's Vandy. It's just not. And so, like, it's still hard for us to lose to Vandy. But there is, times are changing. Anyways, continue. Yeah,
times are changing. And then I think it's a great point you made, just going through the top, 10 teams of the transfer portal last year, and just like LSU being the top, like number 2 in the whole thing. And going into last year, LSU was seen as, hey, here's a top 5 team. Hey, here's a college football playoff representative. This is going to be a really good team. Look out for them. And it comes down to, hey, fucking coaching ain't that good. Hey, culture ain't that damn good. Doesn't matter who you actually have in the uniform if there's not something holding that foundation together. So a kudos to a signing class, and kudos to a recruiting class, and kudos to a transfer portal class. But I got to see more. I got to see taking those guys and making them work. I don't – in the NFL, you see a big signing, right? But then it's like you never do anything with the guy. He doesn't actually help out in any way, or you're not using him like you should. Then it's like, what the fuck was the point of that? Why did we spend 2 first-round picks for this guy if I'm never going to be able to use him properly?
Right.
So it's never as easy or simple as it seems. And I think a lot of times people go in the offseason and go, that's it. It's one thing we're going to be great. One thing we got to change. That's the only reason we weren't there. It's like, well, you better not forget all that other shit that's going on too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as a Titans fan, man, I have watched the Titans go out and be big spenders in the first 1 or 2 days of free agency, and it not work out. I mean, just for a couple examples, it doesn't even matter, but I just almost inventing at this point as a Titans fan. John Robinson did some good stuff for the Titans. Obviously, he got fired because it was a disaster and the whole AJ Brown thing. But I'm sitting there, and we need an edge guy, and we got some good money. And this is one that I got right. It's not about me bringing it up about that, but it's like I wanted Trey Hendrickson. I was like, dude, I think we could get Trey. He's not coming off an injury. He's going to be way cheaper than Bud Dupree. We go out, and it's like, hey, the Titans, they went out, and they got the best pass rusher in free agency. Like, kudos to the Titans getting Bud Dupree. And then he comes in, and he's like, he's fine. He wasn't great. He was nowhere near Trey Hendrickson. My point to that story is – you don't have to go out and make the big splash right away. I mean, you can give the dust time to settle. Some of the Titans' best free agent pickups were like day 5 and 6 of free agencies that you go out and get. And I mean, there's tons of examples of Tony Pollard was one of the most recent ones. Like Tony Pollard was like a day 3 guy, and they're like, I don't know about that money, but like you let him go, and then he's like come in, and we haven't been good, but he's been a good pickup. There's better examples. That was the first one that came to mind in recency. But when it comes to this transport portal thing, and I already admitted, like I was watching it like a hawk. Like I couldn't get enough of it, and like, oh, who's this guy, and what's this and that, and it's like I got to a point where I was like, hey, we're probably all just swapping a bunch of 3-star guys, a bunch of depth pieces. Maybe there's some guys that'll make a little bit of a difference. But I still firmly believe if you're a big-time school and you have a big-time player, you're not going to lose them because you're going to pony up the money to pay. I mean, realistically, I've pulled it up off the top of my head. I've pulled it up on my phone.
I think it's a great point you're making. Like, hey, you're not going to lose them if they're a really good guy. It's like the biggest opportunity for these teams during the offseason to get transfers and get good guys is when teams fire their coaches.
Yes.
Like, there's not a guy there being like, hey, stay with us. Hey, look at this culture. Hey, look at what we got going on. Yeah. Stay here. If there's not that guy with a strong voice, then those guys are like, it's going to be new pick. Like, I'm going to be in a new situation regardless.
Yeah. So let
me see what I can get.
So I pulled it up here. They still have Cam Coleman as like the number 1 player in the transfer portal. I watched a little bit of Cam Coleman catching some Auburn games. The dude is a freak. Like, he has a lot of ability, but it wasn't like he still went out and produced a ton this year. And I know Auburn was bad, and Jake Arnold was awful at quarterback. And the game I watched, the backup came in and played pretty well against Vandy, and Cam Coleman had some nice plays. But it's like, if that's the number 1 player in the portal, and granted, he's going to Texas, he'll have his opportunities, but it was not like Jeremiah Smith hit the portal. And it was like a no-brainer. The second guy who Tennessee was in on was Sam Levitt. I'm sitting there thinking, like, I think Sam Levitt's okay, but like, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'll be wrong when he plays or whatever. I think, when you got Lane Kiffin, you're going to have a chance to be good at quarterback. But I'm like, it's Sam Levitt. Like, it wasn't Joe Burrow 2019 and didn't go to the league. He entered the portal. You know what I mean? So, and it's
I'm with you. I think it very much is like in most years, you're not going to get the top 20 to 25 guys in their position transferring.
Right. Yeah.
In most years, those guys are like, I'm where I'm at.
Yes. And like you already mentioned, you said, hey, it's coaching changes. Exactly. And then it's same thing with NFL. If you're a really good player, your team's going to sign you at least probably the first go around, then that you might get out the second go around. But I just think people need to, and Tennessee has been good in the portal. The guys that we have brought in have been pretty good players for us. I think they have done a decent job. And another note to all this, when it comes to the portal, we will never know unless someone tells us. But then again, like, we're not in the room when either Heupel, or the agents and our money people and our representatives at Tennessee are having those conversations with either players on the team or that we're trying to recruit. So to say that we lost out on a player, I'm sure Tennessee lost out on some guys that they wanted, but they weren't going to go and bid that amount. But then again, I'm also not going to, so they probably lost out on some, but I'm also not going to be like, hey, Tennessee probably didn't say, hey, like Tennessee's not the spot for you anymore. Like we're either not going to pay you. You're probably not going to really have a shot to play, so it's like, it's exciting and I like to go and watch the new toys, but I'm also not going to get really upset or really fired up. I think as we kind of transfer, no pun intended, to this next conversation, I don't think there were really any guys that Tennessee lost that I was like, oh, damn, like, go up one more.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. So I don't think there was any players. I think we talked about Arian Carter on the pod where it was like, whoa, he's going to the NFL. And then we haven't talked. Then we haven't talked since he went to the portal and then he came back, and we will. But like for me, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this too, and then I can read everybody that left and all that. But like Jordan Ross, I was like, well, he was a big-time recruit. A lot of potential. You would have liked to maybe seen him take another step. And then I'm like, is there anyone else? I mean, there's some guys like I personally like, but they probably haven't, like a guy that I was rooting for in Max Anderson. You and I loved his film. He DM'd us when we broke down his film, and I really respected his outlook on things when he DM'd us. So, like, a kid like that, I'm hoping the best for him. Caleb Herring, you're like, he had a couple flashes here. Mississippi State had a couple flashes. I think it was a Georgia game he had a flash, but it was like, I love what Jack said. We were sitting there because I'm like, dude, I'm not really worried about any of these guys that we've lost. And I'm sitting there and Jack's like, yeah, dude. He's like, I don't care. He's like, our defense was soft as baby shit and they were playing. So it's like, like
that's right.
Jordan Ross and Caleb Herring had a chance against Illinois. Yeah. And Illinois, as I said earlier, stuffed us in a locker. So it's like, how can I be upset if we're going to lose a guy that was on the team that did not make any impactful stuff? So that's a reminder or that's something to keep in mind. But I don't know what you feel. Did you ever see any of these that you're like, oh crap, like that kind of stinks or whatever?
No, I think I think I'm right there with you. The biggest thing going into this offseason, and I think the biggest thing that caused our losses this season was the defensive side of the ball. And that's where it's like, hey, you are as good as the sum of your parts. Like Jordan Ross, hey, there is a lot of potential and like I really like you, but also like your unit didn't play well this year. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of grading that's gonna happen that way. But in the same breath, Jordan Ross is the kind of guy I don't want to see get in the transfer portal. If Max Anderson, yeah, sure. I definitely want more people to stay than to leave. So I'll always say like, oh, I don't want that person to go. But like, just for example, Kellen Lindstrom, here's an edge guy, and I got Jordan Ross. Here's an edge guy. If Kellen Lindstrom transfers, I don't think a second about it, right?
Yeah.
He's gone. Jordan Ross goes, and it's not that I think we just lost a massive piece or our defense is going to be worse or it's that heavy, but it's still just, man, I did see a lot of potential in this guy. I think if he stays for another year, he gets even better. I think if he stays, he becomes more impactful. And I think now that he has been here a couple of years, he's going to LSU. I bet he doesn't leave again. I bet he stays longer there than he was here. So he's going to develop more there. And then I bet he's going to be pretty damn good. And that's what sucks. That's what stinks is like looking at what he is and his age, I'm like, this guy can be a very good player. Will he be? That's still up in the air because that depends on who's coaching him, what kind of things you're coaching him, what kind of character he has. And I don't know all of those things about him, but I see his physical abilities. I see some of his smartness out in the field. And that's where it's like, I want to develop that. I want to have that in my back pocket on the team. And I think that goes for some of the other guys that transferred too. I think that goes for a Caleb Herring. Am I saying Caleb Herring is a difference maker on the defense? No. But does he have some potential? Can I see some growth out of him and where he makes some impact plays later? Yeah, for sure. I can see that. Ricky Gibson. Did I want Ricky Gibson to transfer? No. Is it going to be the worst thing in the world? No. We got a bunch of DBs coming in. We got a bunch of guys from different schools that have played snaps that are coming in. But I liked Ricky a lot. You know what I mean? I liked his high school tape. I like what he did on the field for us. I hate that he got injured. It really sucks. But it's not going to be the end-all, be-all when it comes down to it. I wanted him to stay there because I love having guys in, around, and a part of our program longer than shorter. The longer you're here, the more comfortable I feel about it. I told you this a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about Indiana. I think Kurt Cignetti has had the amount of success he has had at Indiana because the guys that are with him have been with him. They were with him at JMU. They are now with him at Indiana. Nothing changed besides the location in which they were playing football games.
And their quarterback.
And their quarterback. But Kurt Cignetti was running the same program.
Right.
He's running the same strength and conditioning program, and we'll get to that. He's running the same rules and regulations on going to class, on making workouts, on hitting your weights, on going to physical therapy. Like it's all the same. It's all the same discipline. And I think that was the biggest reason for Indiana's success is he was able to just keep that culture moving, just on to the next thing. There wasn't a blimp, right? Like in the, hey, I need to make sure my program is aware. That's always difficult for coaches coming into new schools and new guys, and they literally have no idea. They're like, I got to build this up from scratch. This is a little baby that I have to almost raise up to our standards of what we want in our program. So I think that was the biggest difference, and I think that's why I love it when guys stay longer and are part of a program longer, because you just get better and better and better in that program and buying into that thing.
So let me ask you this. Do you think, obviously just opinion, because we don't know. I mean, I guess you could ask. I don't know if they would even be truthful about some things. Maybe some people would, maybe they wouldn't. But we'll say for Jordan Ross, for Ricky Gibson, Jack Van Dorsler, and for Caleb Herring. So we'll say like probably 4 of our guys that we're going to have a chance to start and be key contributors next year. Do you think that was do you think it was a kind of Tennessee let them walk, or Tennessee would have kept them if they could, but they were not going to pay more than what the other schools were because Tennessee feels like maybe we do, and the fact like, yeah, it'd be great if they stayed and we like them, but we also have a salary cap of what we need to spend at the University of Tennessee, and I think I can get the same amount of production out of Caleb Herring and Jack Van Dorsler and Jordan Ross and whatever for cheaper. Because I think
it just all depends. I think Caleb and Jordan were more I don't have a new D-line coach, right? Rodney Gardner's still there, so that's nice. But I have a new DC. And if Heupel's going to go to anybody to ask how much a guy is worth, it's going to be the DC or the individual coaches. I don't see Rodney Garner being very good at the, hey, coach, you should pay this guy this. Rodney Garner's like, I don't give a fuck what you do.
Yeah.
I'm coaching my guys.
Yeah.
That's just what Rodney Garner seems like. And that makes him a really good football coach, which I really like. So I think in Jordan and Caleb, it was, I don't know what this is going to be. I don't know what defense we're about to run. I don't know how this is going to go. And Jordan was like, I can go to LSU, who is probably going to have the best transfer portal class this year after having number 2 last year with a new head coach who wants to pay guys. Yeah. Let me go there. I see it. I think Jack might have been a little bit of I'm a really good blocking tight end, and Coach Heupel sees me that way, but he doesn't see me as a very good receiving tight end. He sees these other guys who are better receiving tight ends. And it's kind of like, am I going to get that much of a play? Am I going to get that much? I think he could have gotten to that point, but he's never going to be the playmaker at tight end. Like, he's going to be some good first down catches kind of guy. You know what I mean? And I think Heupel's offense really likes tight ends. So that's why I think tight ends would like to be here. But I don't think the guys with potential are ones coaches are saying, hey, it's probably better if you leave. I think it's more Max Gilbert. I think it's more Jake Merklinger. I think those are more where it's like, hey, man, like, I really appreciate all the effort you put in, but we watched you for a full spring, for a full camp, for a full season on scout team, second string reps, and I don't think you have it. Like, I don't think you're going to get there. I don't think you're going to beat out Faison, and I don't think you're going to, be the starter for us. If you are, we're not in a really good spot. So I think that's one of those where it's like, hey, go try and do something elsewhere. Because I remember when I went to practice before the season started and was like, oh, who's gonna start? Is it gonna be, Jake or the fireman? I was like, I don't know if I was very curious as to see how they would practice. And then watching practice, it was like, I see the leadership from one and not the other. And then Jake was just like, oh, there's a pick six. Ooh, there's a ball in the dirt. Ooh, there's a missed handoff. And I was like, okay, probably not going to be Jake. And I think that's probably shown now where the coaches are like, hey, like, it's okay. Like, you can go. You can go. So I think it very much matters. If there's potential, I don't think there's any way the coaches are saying leave. I think they're like, hey, we want you to stay here. We think you're a great part of the program. Here's what we can give you. Please stay with us. And there's no hard feelings if they leave now, where I think there was a lot before. But yeah, I think it's just all dependent. But I wouldn't. I would try and do everything I could. If I saw potential in the guy, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to do what I can, but maybe what I can is $80,000 a year, and that's it. Like, that's all I got for you.
Yeah, and this just reminded me of something, not to get sidetracked, and I can't remember if I said it on here, but I was talking to one of my buddies who's at it's Taylor Brown. I can say his name. He's been on the pod a long time ago. He's the director of recruiting down at FAU, and he and I were talking about this, and he was just talking about how crazy the portal and all this stuff is, but he made a good point, is like, it's easier to retain your own guys. And so that's one thing that we were talking about, because I was kind of asking him about high school to portal. He's like, well, if you get a guy in, and maybe it is a high school guy, and maybe it is a guy that transferred to you after 1 year of college, and now he's a junior. So he's been with you longer than he's been anywhere else, even though he's still a portal guy. But it's like, it's easier to retain those dudes, because these guys that hit the market, there's a bidding war for them. And so I would say there's probably a lot of case by case basis, with everybody, say if you and I were both at UT and we both entered the portal, you might just know that you're an awesome left tackle and you can get a lot more money somewhere else. And you like Tennessee, you liked your time here. But you need to go on, and maybe I was safety and, played okay. But I got some guys that are behind me. They're going to be, I'm going to be a senior. They're going to be a sophomore, and they're probably going to take my time. So it's like UT's like, hey, Reed, we want you here maybe, but you are probably not going to increase your pay or anything. So then it's like, okay, well, if, Memphis is calling and they can give me as much.
Simple, your spot is not locked.
Exactly. So that's I think there's a lot of case by case basis, but and I'm still I would still say that the higher end teams, the higher end programs are not going to lose their best players. I can't remember Tennessee losing any of their best players since the portal has started. We didn't lose a James Pierce.
Toto.
Yeah, Toto's probably
that's the only one I can think of where it was that was our best player.
One of the best players, yeah. Yeah, because
that team, there wasn't really a lot of good players on that team. You know what I mean?
Well, you had I think that same team was still Ty Chandler, Eric Gray, which had some potential. Yeah, they probably weren't. Anyways, I'm not going to. But yeah, I just don't Braylon Staley wasn't gone this year. Deshaun Bishop, one of our best players, going to be one of our he didn't leave. Some of our promising young guys, we lost Jack, which I do think Jack would be a pretty good tight. I think Jack has a potential to be a pretty good tight end, but we didn't lose Deshaun Bram, which the coaches right. So it's those high potential guys are really good producers. Lance Hurd walked and is going to go get paid, but it's we got David Sanders that's kicking left, and Jesse Perry fills in. So yeah, I don't know. It's still something to watch. Cal lost Fernando Mendoza, and he was probably one of their best players, but it's Cal, you know what I mean?
That's right.
So I'll be interested to see if it ever happens with Tennessee where we lose, we'll say our top 3 players. But anyways, I'll do a quick run through because I got it pulled up here. So I'm just going to go through quick. We did it. I'm happy that we kind of already talked about the ones, but you got Jack is going to OU, which the only thing that stinks is OU hiring Jason Witten. That was tough to see.
That was tough, man.
That was tough to see. It's kind of we do have Heupel, but it's it's almost if Jason Witten wanted to coach, you would have thought we would have known that. How do we not give him a job here? I know you don't want to just fire our guy, but it's and Heupel is very loyal, and he probably really likes our tight ends coach. I forget his name now. He seems like a great guy, but it's hey, this is Jason Witten. If he's coming back, I'm sorry, but you can't do it. But as an outsider, you want it to happen because not only do you get Jason Witten back in Orange, but then his son's also a darn good player, which that's going to make that recruitment a little bit tougher. Anyways, Caleb Beasley goes to Louisville. Totally see that one. Jordan Ross, we've already talked about. Josh Shell, he's going to UCF. You got Brian Grant, Memphis. William Satterfield, LSU. Jaden Lofton, Wisconsin. Emmanuel Oku, which is Cal. Max Gilbert. Arkansas, Caleb. South Carolina, Ricky Gibson. A&M. Mari Jefferson has not signed. Braylon Harmon, by the way, I think he's going to, for former Catholic youngster, I think he's going to do awesome at Austin Peay. For another former Catholic guy with Jeff Ferris, I think Braylon could see some time at Austin Peay. So I'm happy about that. Lance Hurd, Kentucky. Bennett Warren, Minnesota. Tommy Whitten, he's going back to ETSU, former Catholic guy. He'll be good at ETSU. Max Anderson, UK. And, Peyton Lewis is Virginia. Okay. Marcus Gore, Troy. Brendan Anus, which was the guy from the linebacker, white guy from Nashville. He's going to I don't even know what the hell this emblem is. I looked at it last night. Oh, Western Michigan. So it's like a lot of these, I'm like, yeah, I can see it. Like they had their opportunity at Tennessee, wasn't going to work out here. Now they're gone. Boo Carter, we've talked about him enough. Like, I don't care what his potential is. He's got to get gone. So I don't know, after saying that, if there's anything else there that you want to mention on any of those. I think we kind of hit it. It is what it is.
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, I think it is what it is. Maybe a little disappointment in Amari Jefferson. I thought something would happen with him, transferred from Bama. I was excited about the addition. I was like, all right, some depth in that wide receiver room. We have another playmaker, So that kind of stinks that didn't turn out well.
He doesn't even have a place right now. I don't know if the dude's lazy or if he just can't pick up an offense or what, but like his highlight film at Baylor was I mean, he was dogging people, dude.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I don't know what that is that caused it, but
yeah. William Satterwhite. I thought William Satterwhite was a little weird at first because I thought Sam Pendleton was graduating, and then I realized he's got like 2 years left or another year left. I just thought he was old, but it's like, yeah, okay, I get that one. Like you're not.
I guess he thought there's no way I can beat this guy out,
right?
Based on the reps he was given, the chances he was given, the fact that they kept going back to Pendleton, and that's the reason why he transferred. But I didn't think Pendleton played that well this year. I think there were times where he did, and then there was a lot of like flashes where I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, why are you getting your ass whooped? Or why are you missing this block completely? So I thought there was an open opportunity for the center position going into the offseason, but maybe that's not the connotation between him and Satterwhite and the coaches.
Sure.
So,
okay. Well, click that puppy down to transfers in. We'll talk real quick about Arian Carter. I was a little surprised that he went to the league. I think we were hard on Arian. I probably have to – I don't know what your opinion is. I probably have to give him a little bit more slack that if he was injured. He was injured, but like how much did that affect him? I think you and I get a little frustrated with him because of his eyes, because he has so much potential, and so you and I almost expected to be more consistent. Because there were times where that dude was really starting to play some darn good ball and making some good plays. So he leaves. I'm like, well, that's kind of a head scratcher. Like, you can make money here. And then it says he's not going, he's going to enter the portal. And I'm like, oh, that one's kind of tough. We have a really, a lot of pieces in there at the linebacker room. But then when they got him to come back, I was actually pretty pumped about that for two reasons. And it's because of his leadership. And it's also because, we'll say leadership and culture. And because if he does take another step, he could be a pretty darn good backer.
That's right.
And so that one, I was like, I'm glad that he came back. I could be a fan and be like, okay, good. Like, because that would have sucked if he had gone to LSU. I mean, that would have been a little bit tough to see. We're not talking about position groups yet, so I don't want to get sidetracked. But like, dude, you've got like 5 guys next year at linebacker that you would feel somewhat good about. And then there's a lot of young guys that a lot of Tennessee fans are still excited about. So, hopefully they could be pretty good.
And I think what eventually happened kind of writes the picture of who Arian Carter is and what he wants to be moving forward and remembered for. I think Arian probably had a closer relationship with Tim Banks. I bet if you looked at it, Tim Banks was the one who recruited him. So when it was, hey, Tim Banks isn't going to be here anymore. I've been here for 3 years. I can go into the draft. I don't want to be one of those guys who bounces around. Let's do draft. Because, like, why would you pick draft over transfer if you're leaving a school? It doesn't make any sense. If you're not a first-round grade, it doesn't make any sense. So then he probably is like, all right, draft. because he doesn't want to. He actually doesn't want to go somewhere else. He doesn't want to be a graduate of another school. And then it's, hey, you're going to be a 5, 6, 7 round guy. And he's like, okay, well, I guess I got to go to the portal. And I think it was a simple conversation with him, with Jim Knowles and him, just being like, hey, listen, man, like this is what we like to do. This is our defense. This is what we think you're going to be great at. And you're setting the tone. You're the leader on this defense. So we want you here. For him to be like, I'm in. And I think that's probably how it went. Just based on like picking the draft before the transfer portal, then transfer portal, but then it's like, he's here. It's like, I'm not in the transfer portal that long. I'm back. So it makes me like Arian Carter a little bit more. We are tough on him because we expect a lot out of him. But you made a great point. There's a lot of guys in this linebacker room.
Yeah.
And competition makes for better play.
Yeah.
So if I can have some guys in the linebacker room that are even better than what Arian was with last year, they can push him a little bit more and expect more out of him. It's a lot different when these 30-year-olds are given expectations on a podcast on the weekend and your teammate that sits next to you in the locker room and next to you in meetings is like, hey, dude, that ain't good enough. It's a lot different. It's a lot different. You have a lot more pride in what you're doing when it's your teammate right next to you. So maybe that's something that can happen. That's why in the transfers in, we'll talk about it, Amari Campbell. I like it. I like it a lot.
Okay, cool. Good point, Kyler. I never thought about that once. It's pretty embarrassing to admit. I never thought about it once that he lost his defense coordinator, and so maybe he's like, I don't know what we're gonna do. I'll just go to the league. And then you're right. Hey, maybe 5th, 6th. He's like 5th, 6th. Hell, I'm gonna make more money coming back. And once again, like I like paying a guy who's been here, who's put his time in, has made plays, but is also you're paying for a locker room guy, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think about that. Like I said, that's embarrassing. He loses defense coordinator. If I'm not mistaken, he already had lost his linebacker coach the first time around because Will Inge, I think this is Will Inge going to be his second year. So I forget who he came in with. Yeah. So he's seen some different stuff. But, yeah, production-wise, I wasn't necessarily going to be a little bit worried about it replacing him. But there's more – like we know in football, there's more to this. And, like, with this portal stuff, like when you got a bunch of hired guns and you got a bunch of merchants, sometimes they're going to click and sometimes they won't. Just like some high school classes are a lot closer than other ones when they come in as freshmen. So, okay, so we talked about that. So I'm just going to do a quick list and just read these off, and then we can kind of break down. I watched a good amount of these dudes. I did not watch all of them. We can kind of hit on them. You got how do you say Mr. Richards' name from Miami? Is it Jadeus?
That's how I said it, Jadeus.
Jadeus. So you got Jadeus Richard from Miami. Then you got Tevis Metcalf from Michigan. Isaiah
looks like brothers there.
Yeah. Then you got Isaiah from Colorado. Then you got TJ Metcalf, and then you got DeJuan the Joker Lane. I just remember his Twitter. You got Cooper the kicker. Cooper the kicker.
Love it.
You got Amari Campbell, Quay Moss from Kansas State, Xavier Gilman, Penn State, Drake Martinez, tight end, UT Martin. Mr. Ryan, the quarterback from Colorado, Donovan Haslam, lineman, West Virginia, Mr. Williams, another lineman from LSU. You got Javon Gordon, edge, Tulane, Kayan Lee, Auburn, Jordan Norman. I'm sorry, Javen Gordon, running back, Tulane. Excuse me, Jordan Norman from Tulane, edge. Trent Thomas, tight end from South Alabama. Chaz Coleman, we all know him. You got DJ Burks, local kid from Maryville, Appy State, Tennessee. And then the most recent was Ian Durant, wide receiver. And then you got Blake Howard, who's the long snapper. So I don't care how you want to go about this. If you want to talk about some of your favorites first, I'm cool with that. However you want to go about it.
I mean, I kind of went through the list. I saw some of the guys that was like, hey, they got, they played 2 games last year or whatever. It was just like, okay, like this is a second string guy who didn't get to play much and wants a new opportunity. So I didn't really look into those guys as much if I didn't see it. But some of the guys who did play, those are the ones I was like, all right, let me watch film on these guys. Let me like look and see what they can be.
We hit that down one more too.
So like the Metcalf twins, like I didn't really look into them.
Okay. I looked at one of them.
Yeah, they started one place, they transferred. They're transferred. So they're merchants right now. Like they have been the amount of years, the amount of places, and they're just with each other as they go. So I'm kind of like, all right, I got merchants over here.
Can I pause since I did watch TJ?
Okay.
Okay, so I enjoy watching TJ. I looked up his stats, and then I was like, oh, dude, like, Michigan played Oklahoma in that big game, not so big game. Thank you. Lovely wife bring me some water. That's why I said thank you. So I watched some of it, and I mean, we were hard on safeties last year, which is totally fair because it was pretty ass. I mean, Andre Turntine, we've talked enough poorly about that young man, like did nothing for us, meaning you and I, like we didn't see anything redeeming qualities. And then Idris Farouk is very high, and we like him a lot. And then he goes and really frustrates us with some real low lights. But at least with Idris, he might miss a tackle like Andre Turntine, but Idris is then going to blow someone up and make a pick six, so anyways, we just need more consistency. But I think safety is a position at the University of Tennessee that's like, hey, there's one returning guy. There's a lot of chance here. So and so I kind of would watch, and we brought in a lot of DBs. But with TJ, I think he looks like a good sized kid, 6'1", 190. But his 6'1", 190 looks better than some other people's 6'1", 190s. It's not all created equal. But I felt like he was a pretty good athlete. I felt like there were some pop in there when he hit. Obviously, basically with all of these guys at safety, there was like, oh, there was a missed tackle, but then that's a pretty good one. I think I'll leave it at this. What I watched with TJ, I think there's a chance that there's an upgrade. Like I think he would be an upgrade from what I saw from Andre Turntine.
Gotcha.
Well, I felt like that was enough. That was enough for me to stop you to say like there were some things that I did like in his game.
Yeah, which I agree with you. Safety is definitely more of the concern. But I do like the fact that DB was the concern for us this year, and we got a ton in the portal. A ton of DBs.
I was thinking about that today before we were doing this. I can't sit here and tell you that like I'm in love with any of the DBs, but the way that Tennessee has brought in guys that have turned out well, Colton Hood and Jamon McCoy. If you're going to bring in some, you like your odds better that at least one or two of them is going to be pretty good ball players for you. So it's like it's a numbers game at some point. Anyways, continue with who else you got.
I watched some of the guy from Miami, Jadaeus Richard. Now he was hurt a lot this year. So the injury bug is always something of a concern for guys, but he was a good player for Miami over the past 3 years. And Miami talks about him that way. They talk about him as like, hey, he was really good for us. They were sad to see him get hurt. And he is a bigger corner at 6'1".
Yeah.
He's the lanky guy. He wore number 25 at Miami, and it gave off those Richard Sherman vibes. I thought because of his size, he can do certain things really well at the corner position, where I can take up space. I can make it difficult for these open field one-on-one situations, because I think sometimes those skill guys that get in open field, all right, I can juke this motherfucker out. But then when the guy's a little bit bigger than they thought, like he's taking up a lot more space than I thought. How am I going to get around him? Because I thought he did some good things in open field space, just being like, hey, I'm bigger than you. I'm going to stand like this with my arms out, his long arms, and be like, which way you going? So I like that. I like the fact that they didn't just have him outside, right, on the edge. They also put him in the slot and covering guys on the inside. Being a bigger dude, it's not advantageous for him to do that, but they were still like, hey, we want you to. So I liked that. And then I like that he's a fucking senior. Like, I like, we talk about it all the time. I like that guys are older, that they're a little more experienced and knowledgeable and all that good stuff. Yeah. Like, I'm taking the 20-year-old over the 18-year-old, like, sure, 10 times out of 10. So that I liked that a lot. And then another corner that I liked was the guy from Auburn. I remember watching a couple games and being like, all right, that forward, okay, he's out there on the field, he's locking some guys down. And then I think him being at Auburn gives him the experience of SEC play, of big games, of hating Alabama, which I love. And it makes me feel better about that just corner position, knowing that we have, who we already have bringing in these guys. And then it's like, we've already dealt with injury bugs before and everything like that. It's like, give me some more experience. Like, I'm almost to the point where there's certain positions on the field that feel very mercenary, and there's certain positions that feel I need growth. Corner is one of those where like Tennessee right now, it's like mercenary central for corner. Like you said, the two pickups past 2 years in the transfer portal, Colton Hood and McCoy. It's like, give me more mercy. I love it. I want more corners being our mercenaries and coming in and they're seniors and they're like, the fucking freshman's going to beat me? No. Like, I got this.
Yeah.
So give me older guys, give me men at corner.
Sure. And I agree with a lot of those points. To go back to Mr. Richard at Miami, I was watching him just last night. He was the last guy I watched, because he was one of the most recent ones. But there was still a little something that, like, popped off the screen. It was late in the game against Syracuse that I watched. He wasn't getting in early, but there was enough there that, like, okay, open field looked pretty good. Good athlete, good length. So, and you already said older. So I'm like, okay, fine. Like, this is at least not someone I watched. It's like, I don't see it working here. Mm-hmm. So good with me. And then the other one that you mentioned,
Kay and Lee.
Yeah, Kay and Lee. So I was on Xbox Live when I saw that one, and Jack being down, and is now back here working at Cherokee, but he was at Athens Country Club in Athens, Georgia. Long story short, a guy that he became friends with is a huge Auburn guy, like, loves Auburn. He lives in Athens, but he's a huge Auburn fan, like, really dialed into it. Like, I would trust his opinion as an Auburn fan, like, hey, tell me about this guy. And Auburn did have a good defense last year. And he was like, Kay Lee's pretty good. He's like, he's a pretty good player. He's like, there are some locker room things that aren't necessarily great. Supposedly, as you said, like, mercenary on mercenary, like, this dude's like, hey, I'm going to lock somebody up, but, like, I don't care what jersey I'm wearing. I don't care who it's for. As long as you pay me, like, I'll do my best.
That is a great point. I want you to keep going. I literally wrote down in my notes, not big tackler, meaning he's not big into tackling.
Yeah.
Meaning, if a run play is happening, he's kind of like, okay, somebody else got him. Okay, we're good.
Sure.
He's not like, I'm going to get my head in the fan.
Which you got to give, like, you got to give Ricky props on that. Colton, Jamad, like, and that's why those Jamad and Colton are going to have really good high draft picks in the NFL. But it's like they don't want that. And some defensive coordinators are like, hey, like, if I got a guy that can take away the best player, like, I'm good with it. Me personally, like, I need a guy that can set an edge, because there are certain times you're going to have to set an edge as the corner.
You have to.
But anyway, so I was like, so what's the deal? He's like, he's a pretty good player. Like, he's not a bad corner. Supposedly there were some rumblings that it was like he wasn't going to get on a plane if I don't get paid. Like, I'm not playing this game. So, like, that type stuff is brutal, especially we're all triggered by, like, boo and whatever.
I was about to say, is it worse? Is it, you know what I mean? Like We already kind of dealt with that. Is it worse than that, or is not as bad as that?
Right. So it's like if he comes here and pulls that shit, then you're just like, all right, see you, dude. Like whatever else. You've already mentioned it. We've brought in 1 million DBs. So, but when I watched him, I guess they rotated corner some because I watched the game against Texas A&M, and sometimes I could find him, sometimes I couldn't. I think he moves pretty well. I think he's a pretty good athlete. I thought there were some times he was in pretty good coverage. He got caught on a couple times. I think one of them I thought he got caught on. I think it was zone, and a guy just did like a really deep, like come back in. You know, he probably went 10, 12, 15 yards, just kind of button hooked and slid in a little bit to find the zone. And Marcel Reed caught him. Another one, he gave up one to KC Conception, who's a very good guy. And a small thing, maybe I'm overthinking it, but like he gave up the pass, made the tackle, and then was like, like, damn, like, I can't do that. So I'd rather see that than just him make the tackle and keep walking. But I think there's some potential there. Like, I think there's some stuff that could be worked with there. So both those guys, I'm like, I at least watched it and was like, okay, like, maybe something there.
Mm-hmm.
So continue with who else you got.
Let's see. I watched our big offensive lineman from LSU, Ori Williams. He got 2 starts this past year at LSU. So I went and watched the Arkansas game. He started. He actually played right and left tackle in that game. So I like that. I like the fact you can play both sides.
Yeah.
He is your prototypical big motherfucker.
Yeah.
6'8", 340 pounds. He uses size to his advantage. His disadvantage is speed, right? It's the quickness.
Yeah.
So in my eyes, Ori is a good tackle, but right now I'm not putting him above David Sanders, and I'm not putting him above Jesse Perry. So does he give us depth where maybe we lost that? Yeah, he does. Can he be good enough to maybe make it to where Jesse Perry plays guard and is a really good guard for us? Maybe. I mean, maybe. I think the ability that Jesse has at tackle can be just as good at guard is pretty much what I'm saying. And I'd rather have the 5 best out there at all times. So I liked his film. He wasn't the Orlando Brown, and people might see that as, oh, then he's not that good. No, I'm saying that as he's not that bad. I have a very distinct thing for Orlando Brown. I really don't like that. There's a lot of shit that I can say, and people can call me a hater, but I really don't like people that just get on by because of one thing that they have, and it doesn't really have to do with their hard work. Like, I want to see people who work hard and who do the right thing succeed, and not people who are lazy and don't do the right thing succeed. Like, I don't like the fact that when we're recording Orlando Brown, he was going to come to Tennessee, and he didn't because he could not pass a single fucking class, and that's on him, probably being a lazy fuck. And then he gets to college, and he gets by with Baker Mayfield being his quarterback, and then Kyler Murray being his quarterback, and guys running around, and he doesn't have to do that much. Then he gets to the NFL, and then he is a tackle for Lamar Jackson, who runs around all the time. And then he's a tackle for Patrick Mahomes, who runs around all the time. And then he finally goes to the Steelers. And this guy's going to have a 10-year career in the NFL, and he's barely going to be able to move 2 steps in 14 seconds. And it's because he's 6'9", 360 pounds, and nobody can get around him. Does he have good technique? No. Does he have good footwork? No. Is he quick at all? No. Is he strong at all? No. Does he even understand the exact blocking schemes and how you should do it? Probably not, but the guy's still going to be a 10-year vet. That's what annoys me. So he ain't Orlando Brown, which is a good thing. So if I say that in the future, everybody who's watching this particular podcast will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Orlando Brown Jr.
Orlando Brown Jr. Yes, Orlando Brown Sr. is a hell of a fucking player.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking about Junior here. Too bad his son.
I didn't remember. So were you on the team when he was getting recruited here?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever meet him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I met him once. He was just in Coach Mahoney's office with his family and everything, and it was like, hey, introduce. And I was like, hey, nice to meet you guys. I was like, I love it here. I'll just give you that, I was like, my spiel that I always tell guys is like, don't pick a place because of a coach. Just don't. Like, I'll say that right in front of the coaches. I'm like, that's not what is the most important thing. Like, pick a place because you love it here. Like, you love being here. You love being in this town. You love being in the program, because once you're at a place and you stay at a place, you can go back there whenever you fucking want, and it's yours. Like, people love you there. So I was like, pick something based on that, and not trying to like sway him towards Tennessee or do any of that stuff. Just trying to be like, hey, this is my free advice that I would give.
So you're a bad recruiter.
Sure.
No.
I guess.
It
wasn't my job, so if it was my job, I would have said some different things.
Hey, I respect it. You don't lie. Like, you're not a liar. I watched a little bit, but yeah, I saw what I saw, and I was like, dude, these linemen, I'm going to let Kyler break them down more. But yeah, it was very much of big boy. Oh, that was pretty good. Not so much. Oh, that was all right. Not so much. And I'm like, you know what? We basically just traded Bennett Warren's potential, or what potential he was going to have, for someone else. Bennett Warren is going to go to Minnesota, and whatever happens. But like, at least this guy's seen SEC ball. He played for 2 games, and now he's going to come here. So it's like, that was probably on paper a little bit of an upgrade for a guy who's a potential depth piece. So like, okay, fine with me.
Exactly.
And I can't wait to hear what you say about Donovan Haslam from West Virginia. I actually watched like 2 of his, and like, first off, I wanted him to come here strictly because of the one picture that they showed on like Rocky Top Insider or On 3, and it said he was like 6'3", 346. I was like, done. Give me him. I would be talking about you being a recruiter, talking these and like giving these guys actual sound advice. There's a part of me that would just be brutally bad at, like, if I was the general manager for Tennessee, because like anybody that was a defensive tackle or guard and they were over 350, I'm like, bring them in now.
Yeah, you loved fat ass from Florida last year, huh? Wilkins, big ass.
Wait, who? Oh, yeah. No, that was too big.
Big fat ass couldn't even make the damn team.
No, that was too big. But I watched him, big old barrel-chested guy from West Virginia, and once again, I can't get too excited. It was like some good stuff. I mean, there were some times, and I thought that maybe it would be more run game, like road grading. But it's kind of funny because some of these really bigger guys, and you would think that they would be able to lean and pound and drive. It's not so much, because like the guys who are really good guards, like they can be big and strong, but they're pretty quick and pretty good feet and get to you, because when they're pulling, they can get up to you quick and lock you up. Some of these bigger guys, it's like you see them pulling, and me as a linebacker, granted high school, but it was like a bigger guy. It's like I'm just underneath. He's not touching me. So I was like hoping I saw some big pot-belly pig road grading people at West Virginia. It didn't really happen, but then it did surprise me that some of his pass sets weren't bad. He got a little like head over feet a little bit. And so it was very much like a little bit of a Javonte Spraggins piece there, where maybe like a little too big and aggressive. But like, I thought some of his pass pro was actually kind of decent. But I don't know what you thought about Donovan.
Yeah, I wouldn't go the entire Spraggins thing, because Spraggins not just like, oh, he is that rated of a player, just like the reason in which he is leaning, because like Spraggins was to a detriment, too physical. Like he was trying to get a hit in every play. So it was like, Sprags, chill the fuck out for a sec. I think with him and his little more technique and being a heavier dude, hey, you can't lean at all, man. Like, wherever that weight's leaning, that's where it's going. So you got to be more cognizant of that. I like the size. Something, though, that's a heavy dude to try and run an up-tempo offense. That's something that I haven't necessarily seen out of this coaching staff when it comes to the up-tempo offense is when I was at Tennessee and Coach Jones got there and we said, we're going to run an up-tempo offense. Okay, guys, this is how it's going to work. Brought it from Cincinnati. It's going to be spread. It's going to be up-tempo. It wasn't just, hey, quarterback, look at the sideline fast. Hey, wide receivers, this is what we're doing. Hey, running backs, tight ends. It was, hey, offensive lineman, you cannot weigh more than 310. Sorry, you can't. Because we need you to be fast. We need you to be in good shape. We need you to be able to go and keep going and keep going and go faster and faster and run because that's how up-tempo we're going to be. When the ball is snapped and you block your guy and you see when somebody get tackled, there's two things that you do as an offensive lineman in that up-tempo offense. If you're close enough to that person getting tackled, you go and pick that guy up because you're stronger than every other person that's getting tackled, and I want you to use your strength more than them using their strength. If our running back's on the ground, you pick him up. He doesn't have to stand up, okay? You pick him up. If he's on the other side of the field, then you look at the fucking yard marker, you find the hash, and you fucking get to the ball. Before the ref gets there, I want you lined up. And that was the two biggest things. Once you've done your assignment, eyes, where's the ball? Am I going to pick him up or am I going to the hash? I don't know if that's being taught at Tennessee right now. I don't think it is because of how much we had to focus on that and how much it was like run, get lined up. I don't see that out of the offensive lineman. It's more, get lined up, but everybody else is looking off to the side and getting all the stuff, and it's not a hurry.
Yeah.
So if they were to actually integrate that into being like these bigger guys, like I don't know how you're going to keep up, my guy. Like 240 to 260 or 340 to 360, like you're too heavy. Like you're not going to be able to pull and get up on linebacker and then get lined up quick and then pull again and then get lined up kick and pass pro. Like you're probably going to get beat on that third rep.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, because when I did go to watch him, I was expecting to see a big old potbelly pig. He's got a big old broad chest. He doesn't have an oversized belly. Like he does not look sloppy. I was happy to see it. I was like, oh, he just looks like a big old dude. Maybe now that you say this, I've never thought about this. Maybe I have, and I've just forgotten it. But like maybe that's why Heupel and these guys do rotate offensive linemen over the past 5 years. Because it's just so hard on them.
Maybe.
So, and I'm not saying that that's a good thing. I'm just throwing it out there. But anyways, as a player, what'd you think? I mean, fine, whatever.
Fine. He's has a possibility of fighting for a spot. I don't think there's any like guarantee for anything. And I'd like to see him in person.
Yeah.
Like to see how he hits linebackers at the second level. I mean, what you just said, like dipping underneath them. Like, I want to know that offensive linemen know their weaknesses.
Yeah.
I want them to be like, oh, yeah, I am slow. Or, oh, yeah, when I get to the second level, they dip underneath me a lot. All right, well, break down a little bit. Slow down. Squat. Because how can someone dip underneath you if you're lower than them? So, like those kinds of things, that's what I like to see out of those guys. But, yeah, I mean, I think with a lot of offensive linemen that we get in, you're a rotational piece until you prove it.
Sure.
And that's how – I think that's how most transfers in linemen between teams is going to always be.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're rotational until you get here and prove it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Pick whoever you want next. I'm good. Keep going.
Let's go Chaz.
Okay.
Chaz Coleman.
Okay.
So raw athlete. And that's what he is, a raw athlete. And I like it. I love athletes. I want to see them at defensive end. Do I know that he's going to be the next James Pierce or Joshua Josephs or any of those DNs? I don't. But damn, does he have a lot of potential? Yeah, he does. He really does. You don't get that many athletic freaks that come through programs, so it's nice to have him. And I'm excited to see what he can do, because I think that is something that we looked at our defense, and over the past 5 years of Heupel, there's always been here's that defensive end to watch for the next season. Here's a defensive end to watch for the next season. And this season, it was kind of like, oh, shit. Like, we might not have one to watch for, with Joshua Josephs being as old as he is, and then Caleb Herring and Jordan Ross. So having him come in is like, now I get to watch for somebody. Now I get to look for something. Now I get to see, all right, what's this guy going to do? Because, like, he didn't do a ton at Penn State this past year. There wasn't, like, a ton flashes. He didn't have a bunch of sacks or anything like that. But, all right, I love potential. Bring me in some potential. I love the fact that he's, like, cool enough with Jim Knowles where he's like, yeah, I want to go play with him again.
I think that's the one of the number one things right there. So once again, sitting there at it, scrolling. Are we going to get anybody? Are we going to get anybody? You hear about this Chaz Coleman guy, you're like, holy shit, 5-star, which you got to be careful. Like, these transfer portal rankings is you got to be careful with, because there's a ton of guys that have come in that have played way better than their ranking. And then obviously we know there's a ton of guys that are like, I mean, Jordan Ross is a 4-star transfer to LSU. It's like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, he has not been a 4-star yet. Now, obviously, this is some NBA type stuff. Is it potential? Whatever, which is what we're about to talk about, Chaz Coleman. So I'm like hearing all about this Chaz Coleman guy, 5-star, like best edge guy in the whole portal. Edge is one of the most premium positions. Like, okay, well, we're probably going to have a chance to maybe get him. And then you see that he's down at LSU, throwing up the L's with Kiffin in front of a Bentley. You're like, all right, well, whatever. Well, now he's going to come here. And you're like, okay, you think it went pretty well. And then I realize, I'm like, oh, he's from Ohio. We ain't getting him. And I don't expect Tennessee to get him because he's from Ohio. And if Ohio State wants him, I'm assuming they're probably going to get him. And then you kind of hear, a couple days goes by and you don't really hear anything. I'm getting in the car. Meg and I are about to go hit a walk at Lakeshore. Bam, we got him. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, that's hype. Like, okay, like there's a big fish, and we snagged him at the second most important position behind quarterback, potentially maybe left tackle, right tackle. And I'm like, I can't believe they just pulled this off. I was like, that's a great sign that, like, he wanted to follow Knowles, and obviously there's not anyone that knows that young man better besides his parents than Jim Knowles, his defense coordinator. Potentially, his outside linebackers, defense ends coach was. Forgive me, I can't remember if we're bringing his specific group here or not. I know that we got multiple Penn State guys, but anyways. So I'm like, okay, well then it goes, let me go watch this dude. I'm fired up to watch this dude. Nothing to watch. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, maybe
he's a 5-star with nothing to watch.
And I'm like, maybe I'm like all of Tennessee that was like super. Like, I'm thinking this guy's got double digits sacks, bunch of TFLs, and I'm about to go watch a maniac. I'm like, he hasn't done anything. So I'm like, oh great. Well, like, and one of my buddies made a heck of a funny comment on Xbox Live. He's like, yeah, half of All Nation expects him to get 10 sacks next year, and if he doesn't, he's a bust. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, because I expected that until I realized he didn't play.
Yeah.
Because he was just younger. And so that one is it's an exciting one. And like I said, I feel more comfortable that we got him from Penn State compared to if we got him from like Maryland. Because Jim Knowles knows him, whether or not like, hey, I want to spend the money to see if we can break this potential out. So anyways, I just hope that Vol Nation educates himself that like he's not a proven commodity, even though he probably got paid like one. So
definitely. I mean, he's not there yet. He got paid off his high school ranking a little bit,
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're on Penn State. You've already mentioned you like. So go ahead we'll go ahead and knock out the rest of the Penn State guys quick.
Sure. Amari Campbell, linebacker. This was one that I knew when we got him who he was.
Okay.
Because I remembered watching the Oregon Penn State game earlier in the year and being like, I like that 24. Like, he's moving out there and like he's throwing his hat around. I was like, oh, okay. Like I see some plays out of him. He's a good player. And then when we got him, I was like, oh yeah, I remember watching that game because I think we watched that game together. Was that the same week that our Georgia game was at?
I don't remember. Maybe that was that same night as the A&M and Notre Dame game as well. I forget.
Yeah. Because I remember watching him being like, I don't like the way this guy. Yeah, I mean, he's fucking flying around. So I watched that game again, and I was like, yep, that's what I saw. That's what I like. Now, there were times where I saw him maybe duck head a little bit into blocks, but there were also other times where I saw him put his hands in guys' chest and shed. And I did like the fact that he was defending first down a lot. Like he was like, all right, you got here, but I'm not letting you fall forward. I'm not letting you get ahead. So that tells me that he pays attention to the little things that can make a little bit of a difference that people might not pay attention to. All right, I'm forcing them to do another down, right? I'm not just letting them get the first. We're going into third down. We're going into fourth down. More plays. You always say that. More plays, the better, right? More opportunities for them to make a mistake.
Yep.
So I like that about him. I like his ability to move around. He is a quicker linebacker than a stocky big dude. So I like that. And I think he is the perfect guy where he's like, I've been in Jim Knowles' system for a while. I can be the middle of the defense. It can coach up guys. But then there's going to be like an automatic power dynamic in the linebacker room. Here's Arian. Here's Amari. What are we doing here, fellas? Who's leading this defense, fellas? And I think that at each other and being maybe more collaborative than combative can make it to where we got two leaders on defense. We got two headhunters. We got two dudes who want to be the nastiest defense in the country. So that's why I was like, this is the one who excites me the most out of this transfer portal because that's the leader on the defense. And we already have a leader on our defense. And I've already been a little skeptical about some linebackers and the position group as a whole. Yes, please.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head on a lot of that. And don't you obviously it's AC and potentially Amari. Like, don't let T-Lander's name get, T-Lander, we've said it a bunch. I've said a bunch. Like, I think he's maxed out his potential athletically. Which
AC times 2, baby.
Right.
Campbell, Aaron Carter, AC times 2.
That is true. I didn't think about that. So AC times 2, yeah. But I don't think T-Lander's going to go away quietly. Like T-Lander he's a guy who's been in the program. He has had some good plays. He's that guy that like he could have easily transferred and probably somebody would have paid him to come in and bring some of that mentality. But it's like you never heard anything about that. He seems like he's Tennessee through and through, kind of like an Arian Carter or, well, more of Ethan Davis, who's very outspoken. Like, I love it here. Like, I'm not leaving. Like, I wouldn't want to go anywhere else. And you need those guys in there. But having those three dudes who are a little bit older in that room, I mean, I just, that is huge. I said it when we got Amari Campbell, when we got DeJuan Lane, when we got Gilman, the lineman. I was like, there it is. We now have a Jim Knowles guy in the middle of the defense, from D tackle to linebacker to safety, and at each level. So each position group, they have a Jim Knowles guy. And we're going to finish up when we talk about season wrap up. We're going to talk about Derek Owens and we're going to talk about Jim Knowles. But Jim Knowles made a comment in the Mike Keith interview, which is honestly one of my favorite interviews I've probably listened to a coach, because I felt like it was raw and he gave you stuff and I appreciate it. He was a soft-spoken guy, which is a little weird from defensive guys, because most defensive guys are like, we're going to play aggressive. We're going to kill people. Like, we're going to be attacking and aggressive. And it's like, all right, dude, like, chill out. Like, it was like –
kneecaps.
Yeah, it was like and there's a time and place for that. I mean, I get fired up as anybody, but it was just cool that it was like I felt like Jim Knowles was actually giving some stuff. And Jim Knowles made a comment. I've never gotten to go somewhere and bring my own guys. So not only is he bringing his own guys, coaching staff, now he has some other guys that can be like, hey, Ed Reese, this is how you're going to need to play this. Hey, Arian, this is how you need to play this. Hey, Dalvin Hobbs, this is how you're going to need to play this. So I think that can't be overstated. He's played 3 years of college football. He has, as a freshman, 14 tackles, probably a special teamer, spot guy. Then he goes in 2024, 76 tackles. Like, he quickly was like, all right, I'm here. I'm going to be a tackling machine. And then last year he had 103, 64 of those solo, 3 sacks, a forced fumble, or a fumble recovery. I watched him, and I would probably say he popped the most off film than some other guys. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I loved it, and it was like a no-brainer, because it wasn't. I mean, there was still some like maybe got beat around the edge there. Yeah, that was a good tackle, but you're making it 7 yards downfield. Obviously, I'd love that to be 3 yards downfield. But everything else that you've said, like, I agree with. Like, 24 did pop off the screen a little bit more than some others. So I would say he was probably up there. If you made me pick, he's probably not my favorite one that we've got, but one of the favorite ones we've got. So
yeah, I would. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, it's not the best I've ever seen, but he's popping on the screen.
Yeah, and
you can tell that he is that leader of that defense. So it's like, that's what I like, that Jim Knowles is coming. And he's like, and I'm bringing my dog with me.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so then you go back to safety with Deshaun Lane. I thought I saw 10 do some stuff. I mean, once again, I thought he had some good coverage when I watched them against Clemson and against Indiana. Thought he made some good plays. I think there's a little shit to his game. Like, he's gonna give you a little something. He's not Jacoby Thomas in like the psycho, but he's got some lead in his, and I think he's a good looking athlete. That's another thing. Like, when with all these DBs, I was like, do they just sing faster than what we've had? Like, that's what, like, do I think this guy's faster and more athletic than Andre Turntine or Caleb Beasley? Like, that's what I'm looking for. And pretty much I felt like they were all probably a little bit more athletic and a little bit more physically gifted. And so, yeah, I was fine. I was fine with it. I thought what I watched, like, there were some pops. I was like, okay, I see you 10. Like, I like that. So, but, yeah.
Well, I would agree with you. Saw his pops, saw some of the coverage. Then there's always just opportunities to I don't know if it's just like the zeitgeist of coaching DBs now, but like, just tackling is always something I'm just like, my gosh, guys, like, my gosh, like, I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's so difficult. I haven't been in that scenario. I've been in the open field trying to make a tackle on a more athletic guy. So, like, I can't say I know everything, but man, has it pissed me off watching guys miss. Man.
But you know what's crazy? It's all teams and it's at all levels. It's at all, I saw it in the NFL multiple times this year, but it's like, I mean, Miami's in the national championship game. A guy that we love, Jacoby Thomas, on Fernando's run. Jacoby Thomas goes in there to murder Fernando, and guess what he doesn't do? He doesn't wrap up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just – and I think he ended up being an All-American this year. So it's like it is frustrating. I will say this: 6'2", 212. That's a nice size. I mean,
that's a big safety.
That's once again, that's him and TJ Metcalf and even the kid from Appy State. Like I'm seeing some of these dudes that they look more imposing than Caleb Beasley and Andre Turntime. So
yeah, if the first time you get to stand next to that dude, you're gonna be like, oh shit. I know you like to do the little measurement.
Yeah, I'm fired up for the walk by. So and he's played 2 years of ball, so I mean he's seen some stuff. What'd you think about the D lineman from Penn State? Is it Xavier? Let me pull it up here.
Gillum? Is that
yeah,
it?
but I want to say his first name. Yeah, Xavier Gillum. What'd you think there? Because this one we may differ on.
I mean, I liked it. I watched that Oregon Penn State game, so I was like trying to watch him in the few. I saw some get off. I saw some firing off the ball, which was good. Getting into the backfield, I feel like he has the potential to be like, what's his name?
Bryson, Dominic Bailey.
More like 55. What's his name from Arizona State?
Don't say Omar Thomas. I mean Omar Norman Lott.
That was what I was.
Nah.
Here's when I looked at him, I always look like, all right, what's the peak that if I get this out of you, like I'm happy with, and that was the player I came up with.
Nah,
Omar Norman Lott. I was like, if I can get Omar Norman Lott out of this, then I'll be happy. But I don't know. I'm not saying that I can get Omar Norman Lott out because Omar had a knack for pass rush. And I don't think a lot of people understood exactly how good he was at pass rush. And I don't necessarily see it with Gillum. Do I see some firing off? Do I see some extended hands like I saw with Omar? Yeah, I do. Do I see a little bit of size comparison about? Yeah, okay. I kind of get that. He needs to step up a lot more, but that's where I was like, I try and find a guy that maybe Tennessee has had before to get the sort of comparison, but that's also like his best if he were able to get there. But he doesn't have the moves that Omar had. Like right now, he does not have that in no way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I don't think he has many pass rush moves at all. But
I hold a special place kind of in my. I'm protective.
I know
of
you
Omar.
do. I know you do.
I'm protective of Omar Norman Lott because I really liked him coming out of Arizona State. You didn't. You thought you were a little worried. So that's a chalk up for me.
so one in the win column.
Anyways, Omar was special because of he was so quick, his hands were so good, his feet were good, and he also played nasty. The thing with Xavier Gillman is I didn't see enough. And what I mean by that is I felt like he would have a good get off. He would reset the line of scrimmage. He would extend, and then it kind of stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really saw some like quick win on a third down sack Omar style. I also didn't see like a good reset the line of scrimmage, extend, shed, tackle. Yep. I felt like Xavier Gillman kind of got, and he's still younger. I think he's only like I think he's maybe played 1 year, maybe 2. I can look it up. I felt like Xavier got stuck a lot in pass pro. I felt like he would come off hard and then he would get hemmed up. He would not disengage. And what's that?
He doesn't have that. He doesn't have that thought process. He doesn't have that second move. He doesn't have what else can I do here? Right.
And I've always talked about it. Chris Long always talks about it. I listen to him all the time, but it's like, he says like that's some of the best pass rushers. It's not what you do on your first move. It's how do you win on your second and third move.
That's right.
Let me see what year he is. So, 6'2", 300. Looks like he's either a Yeah, I think he might have been only a freshman, so that's good. Like, I'm not beating him up. Like, there's potential there to grow. But I just didn't – listen, I didn't watch him because going into this portal, I wanted a quarterback. I wanted some big old nasty defensive linemen. I don't feel like we got that. That's overall with the portal class, I'm pretty happy with it, but like I don't feel like we got a dog on the D line, which is what I wanted, a proven dog. I know that the Florida guy's still out there potentially. If I haven't missed anything, I really would like that guy a lot, but I think he still has to get a waiver. But like that, I wanted some dog ass dude in the middle. Not to say like Dalvin Hobbs and some of the guys that we have coming back couldn't be that, but like I personally don't feel like we've done enough to replace what
we had the best defensive line when we had 8 War Daddies out there.
Yeah.
It was the best when you could rotate everything. That's always how it is. The best defensive lines in the NFL, in college, and all that stuff, they got multiple dudes that can rotate in, can give guys reps, and there's not a drop-off.
Did you see the difference in Bryson Eason and Dominic Bailey in the times that we mentioned their names this year compared to last year? Last year when they would come in, it was like, damn.
Exactly.
And then this year they were still the same players. They're a year older, you're stronger, you're wiser.
You might say better.
But they got gassed out. They got
gassed, man.
And so it's like that's why I'm a little worried about this transfer portal and the defensive line. That's just me personally. We'll get to it when we talk about it months down the road from now when we're breaking down position group. But anyways, with Xavier Gilman, there was a little bit left to be desired, but I'm just fingers crossing that like hopefully it's because he's younger. Obviously, Jim Knowles knows this guy.
Yeah.
So it's like hopefully he knows something's there. But yeah, this wasn't the like War Daddy that I was like, wow, like this is awesome in the interior. So anyways, let's see, Quay Moss, Kansas State. There wasn't a ton on him because I kind of watched some highlights and then I didn't go and watch like a full game. Just on those quick highlights, like the one thing that caught my attention that a lot of people probably caught, it's nothing special, but like the dude looks like he plays like a lot of passion and ferocity. I like that. You need that. And he does look like he's a pretty quick jackrabbit. Like he's got some piss and vinegar to him. He's got some
little short man syndrome, pissed off.
Yeah, and you love that. You love that. And so
I think that's the same, like you almost kind of alluded to. That was like the same mentality Tyrann Mathieu had at LSU. You know, like that mentality of like, fuck, everybody doesn't believe in me. Everyone thinks I'm too small. I'm gonna go out and show people. I'm gonna make shit happen.
Yeah.
And he did. Like, you know, now is he going to be Tyrann Mathieu? Probably not. Because those are, you know,
I know
generation guys. But like, can you be running around with your hair on fire? Hell yeah. You know, I almost was like kind of sad that I didn't get to see him in a star position.
Yeah,
like the star position that we had with Tim Banks in that way, because I was just like, he matches it. Like that's who I like in those positions. But I'm sure he's going to find a home.
Yeah, and that's what I saw. It was more of like personality, but you know that than it was like I didn't get to see 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plays. It was like oh wow, but like a beautiful, amazing pick he had. He was in great coverage. Then he has the sack, and so it looks like he's a really good chess piece that could be fun for Jim Knowles. Jordan Norman was the Tulane edge guy. I'll be honest with you. I watched some of him. I wasn't super impressed. There was nothing that he did. I mean, he looks like a decent athlete. I mean, he's 6'4", 250, but I watched while I was doing cardio. I even watched the game where he got 2 sacks. They were kind of coverage sacks or like the pocket collapse, and he kind of comes over the top and gets it. It wasn't like this was some dog ass off the edge. And so that's a little worrisome. Once again, I wanted a lot of good D linemen or a couple proven guys. For me personally, I just didn't see anything special. But then again, listen, there's been plenty of guys that I poo-pooed them. Ty Redmond being one. I was like, I don't really see it with Ty Redmond, and the guy goes out and plays as a true freshman. So what do I know? But
yeah, no, I mean, I think it can depend. I don't think anything popped out on the screen with him. I think he has good measurables and a great rotational piece. Like we need depth.
Yeah.
We need it. We just made that point. Like, I need guys on the D line, and if Rodney Garner can get the best out of him, great. Like, that's one thing about the defensive line that I do feel good about. Like, our D line coach is the best. Like, that's what makes me feel good. Is like he can get the most out of these guys. So it's just like, can we have enough pieces?
Yeah. But you felt the same way, like there was nothing that you really
Yeah,
saw.
I felt the same. Felt the exact same. Wasn't like, oh, yeah, he got that sack because he made this move and whooped that dude.
Yeah.
It's like, no, not really.
Right.
Opportunistic, but nothing
All
more.
right, Kyler. I'm not saying this is the last one we're talking about because we can talk about some other guys. I'll just say it. I kind of like the quarterback, Ryan. I liked him a lot more.
I'm just going to say it.
Why are you laughing, bro? Don't tell me. Are you out on Ryan?
I'm not depending on Ryan to be a freaking all SEC quarterback. I'll tell you that much.
All right. We'll let you let me go, and then we'll let you go.
Sure.
Okay. So I see this. Quarterback was the big one. I mean, we literally had George, the string bean McIntyre, which I've been telling people that. Like, we first off, you and I watched him at Catholic against Catholic. We were like, whatever, he's fine. We didn't think he like blew us away or anything. Then the very next day, I walked right by him down on the field. I'm like, yo, this guy is tiny, bro. Like, I'm surprised a big gust of wind didn't take him by. Like, that's how skinny he was. And then he's been there. Sounds like he hasn't really gained weight, whatever. I did not watch him in – I guess you didn't watch him. Wait. Did you watch George in the did he get any run in the scrimmage you were at?
Merklinger?
No, George McIntyre.
Oh. I think he did. I think he did get some, but it wasn't.
Okay. So, anyways, yeah, like you got George, then you got Faison. You know, I didn't watch a ton of Faison, but he was hurt this year, which is not great because it's not a lot of reps, even if it is high school. I want reps.
Sure.
And then I watched some of his highlights from his high school state championship game. Horrendous pick. Listen, I'm not saying he could be awesome. I hope he's awesome. I hope he's the Heisman Trophy winner. But it's like, for me personally, I'm just trusting my eyes. I'm like, I didn't see it. And he's a freshman. Mm-hmm. So it's like, all right, we need to go get him. I said we need to go get a proven guy. Overpay. Not my money. Go get somebody. Well, they didn't. You know, whether, you know, they didn't get Sam Levitt, which, like, Sam Levitt, like, I don't know how great he was. I feel like he had some flashes, but, I mean, to be the second portal player overall, like, I don't know. I mean, and he's coming off an injury. You know, I said I like the guy from Cincinnati. You know, he went to Texas Tech. So a lot of these other guys start flying off the board. Is Tennessee missing out on them? Do they not want them? I don't know. So then I'm sitting here like, yo, this is getting kind of scary. And then we get Ryan. And I'm like, okay, I see Ryan. Like, I don't really know him. Like, yeah, this looks like a depth piece. You know, now we got 3 dudes in there, and I don't feel great about any of them. Then I watch some of Ryan. I'm like, I feel like there's some shit there. Would I have liked to have gone and gotten a guy that was a proven commodity that had thrown for 3,000 yards and 25 touchdowns and 3 picks, and even if it was at North Texas, yeah, like I would like that.
Mm-hmm.
But we go and get Ryan, and I'm like, oh, crap, we got like a backup? But then I watch his film, and I'm like, there's some stuff I see there. For me personally, and I will stand on this hill, for me personally, getting out of the pocket, got some nice athletic ability. It's a 3rd and 8. He runs and gets the first down. You know, I posted the clip. He runs out, shuttle pass, makes a play. I saw some balls that I thought were like, damn, that was a great, beautiful ball. Then he threw another one that was like, yeah, that was a pick, not a great pick. Guess who else I saw have some not great picks this year? Joey Aguilar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, guess who had some bad picks? Nico. Like, it is what it is. But I'm sitting here thinking, like, this guy's playing at Colorado. I don't trust who Colorado has as their quarterback coach or offensive coordinator or head coach to be as good as Josh Heupel.
Correct.
That's correct.
I do not expect them
to have what we have at the offensive line or the weapons. Is he throwing to Braylon Staley or Chris Brazzell this past year? Nah, he's not.
Mm-mm.
So I'm like, I think all of that is going to be a step up. And when you see a quarterback, for me, it's like, are there some pieces there? Because I trust Heupel so much to get the most out of quarterbacks. I truly think in my heart that Heupel has gotten the most out of the guys that he's had while he's had them. Hendon Hooker, a nobody from Virginia Tech, turns him into an awesome player.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Milton, head case, he won 10 games with Joe Milton. And I mean head case meaning like he doesn't see it. He doesn't let it rip. He doesn't whatever. Nico, still a younger guy, still has not proven to be that good of a quarterback. We won 10 games, went to the playoff with Nico, and then last year with Joey. We took a guy from Appy State, and I don't want to I know people say he threw for the most yards in the SEC. Yeah, I get it. But some of those yards might have come on against lesser inferior opponents. We didn't beat anyone we should have, but he had a great game against Georgia. He had a good game against probably our best win, unfortunately, at Mississippi State. And it's like, if he can do that with those dudes, and this Ryan guy has been in college football for a little minute, he at least has some starting potential. I would not be surprised, Reed Bacon, if he has a chance to be the starter because of he's at least been in college football, and I watch and I think he has some stuff there that Heupel can get the most out of. I have not seen George McIntyre. So I have no trust in him. I do not care if he was a 4 fringe 5-star guy. So I just expected to turn on this film and not see much. And then I watched, I was like, yeah, I think Ryan's all right, actually. And I just really trust Heupel. Now, I'll finish it with saying, does that mean Ryan's going to come and lead us to 10 wins? No, but I think that he could potentially be the best quarterback option available for this year.
Yeah. So before I go, I just wanted to wrap up your point and just make sure that I'm hearing what you're saying. So you like our new quarterback transfer, and the reason why you like our new quarterback transfer name is Heupel. So Heupel is the reason why you like our new quarterback transfer. Doesn't really hold a lot of weight. Because Heupel is going to be there for any quarterback transfer.
No, great point. Great. You can't see me pointing at you. Great point. Great point. But no, I think Ryan has some shit to his game. Like, I think he's got some playmaking ability. He's got some athletic ability. He's got some toughness. I think he throws a pretty good ball. And I really liked what Colorado had to say. Like, most of the time you go to On3 and all you get is all the troll stuff when you click down to watch. Like, oh, great. Tennessee's got our sloppy seconds. Oh, great. Tennessee thinking they won the national championship. Little they know this guy sucks. Whatever the case may be. Everyone with them was like, dude, Ryan's awesome. Great guy. Take care of him. Go be great. All that good stuff. So I'm like, all right, that's decent. Doesn't mean he's a great player, but it's like he made an impact on something. But when I watch him with my eyes, I see some stuff. I'm like, ooh, nice play. Ooh, nice throw. All this stuff. That's why I like him plus Heupel.
I like your first point that you made when you started this about how you wanted to see us go get a proven commodity. Yeah. I like that point. I don't like going to get the third string quarterback from another team. I don't necessarily like that. Does that mean Heupel can't get the most out of this guy? No, of course he can get the most out of this guy. I trust Heupel a lot. But I know this isn't the guy to lead us to a promised land, to lead us to a national championship. He just doesn't seem like that. Can he move? Okay. Yeah, sure. Can he make some throws on the run? Yeah, sure. Did I see him miss a wide open post pattern and throw behind the guy where the guy fell over on his first third down and long versus Houston? I did see that. So it's, I don't know. We'll see. I think this leads pretty well into the kind of season wrap up because the quarterback position is so important. It is the lifeblood of your team. And our quarterback room is not the best room. It's a third string guy from another team who has some potential, is a very, very young player freshman who has a lot of potential, and then another guy that we're just not sure about. That worries me for the team next year, the quarterback position, which worried me after the Nico thing as well. I trust Heupel in his quarterback evaluations because he saw something in Hendon Hooker. He saw something in Joey. He was able to get what he needed to out of those guys. So I think he can do it again. But the more and more I look at it, the more and more I see things, I'm like, this guy is leaning in to being good, not next year, but maybe the year after that and the year after that.
Yeah.
That 2026 is not the year of the Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah.
Because a new strength coach that you pay the most of any other strength coach in the country is not something to get a 1-year turnaround. That's a program guy. Your strength coach is a program guy. He's a builder. He needs time to build. When your defense causes your 4 losses this year, 5, counting the bowl, and you really need to revamp that, you go all in. You get the best defensive coordinator that people consider out there, and he brings all his guys with him, players and coaches. And you love that. Here's our weakness. Here's what we need. Here's our weakness. Here's what we need. When it comes to quarterback, I think Heupel is very much in the boat of preferring younger guys. I think he wants a high school quarterback. He wants to mold a quarterback according to his plan. You can't always do that 1-year dudes. Can't always make that happen. So he's wanting to hit on these 5-star guys, which is like, that makes me just go, 2027 is not the year that Heupel's aiming everything to come together for.
You mean 2026 next year?
2026, yes. That's what I meant. It's not the year that's like all of these pieces will fall in line.
I agree. I agree with you. I think those are all valid points. It takes time. I think Heupel has time because of Danny White. And, they were together. They have a relationship. I mean, I've already said it. I think Heupel will go into this year. For me personally, I'm already worried about the year next year. So for me, it's like if he goes out and wins 8, 9 games, beat one of the teams that you're probably not favored to beat, don't lose to any of the ones that you are favored against, lose the rest of them, you're going to have another year. Now, if you go out and it looks disastrous, you're probably in trouble, and Vol Nation's probably going to turn on you, but I don't think anything really happens unless they win like 3 games next year that Danny White's going to have to let him go. So I basically am telling you that like Heupel's starting to get on the hot seat, but like there's nothing that can really happen that gets him fired next year because I don't think Danny would do it. So I do think he is building. You have to be careful building because you're always building your culture and your team, but it's a slippery slope nowadays with this transfer portal.
That's right.
Because you could put a lot of time and effort into George and Faison, and they're gone. And we all know that. So it is what it is. So I hear you with all that. And I think it's a great point that you made with the new strength coach. Like it'll make a difference now, but it's also like that's also a long-term difference. We'll see. Is Jim Knowles going to have his best year this year compared to next year? Like, no, probably next year will probably be better than his first year. That's it. People are going to learn more. We'll just see. But for me personally, like I said, I don't think next year is going to go the way Vol Nation wants it to. So usually when I'm not expecting us to be that good, they're a little bit better. And for me, the losses are a little bit easier. I'm like, I didn't expect to win that one. I've made it very clear, Oklahoma this year, I expect to win that. We lose it. That's why it hurts. Before we finish, because we've been going for 2 hours, we'll make a quick wrap up. The only other guy that there's two other guys I want to just hit on really, really quick that I watched. I did like what I saw from Javon Gordon, the running back from Tulane. Is he special? Nah, he's not special. He's not crazy. He's not dynamic. But I think he's a pretty good, solid piece. And for him to do that as a freshman, I was like, that's pretty impressive. I'd like to see a little bit better pass block, which we say that about all pretty much running backs, especially younger guys. Mm-hmm. I would have liked to maybe seen him a little bit more out of the backfield because I just didn't get to see it. But I think he's got some really good potential for this Heupel offense because that guy, I'm not going to say he's bigger, but he's got a nice center of gravity, and people hit him and fall off. That is nice to see. So when you go in with him and Deshaun Bishop and DeJuan Morse, who you really like, I feel very happy with where we are at running back.
Yeah. Who did he lose versus who we got?
Yeah.
Hayden out, him in. I'll take him.
Right. Exactly. At the worst, I don't think he's I don't think he's worse than Peyton.
No, I don't either. And he's younger.
Right. Right. And so I just wanted to say that, like, that was one guy that I watched. I was like, oh, I like this kid. Like, he runs hard. It's one of those guys that, like, it doesn't look like he's overly fast or overly big or whatever, but he gets yards and people can't tackle him. So, and there's plenty of running backs that have made a great career doing that in college and the NFL that's like, damn, they just can't tackle him. He's not juking people. He's not truck sticking people. They can't tackle him. And then the last one I wanted to say was DJ Burks from Appy State. I was a little bit like, I don't know. We'll see about this. But it's a cool story for him. He was from Maryville. Once again, it looked like he was a bigger sized kid. Like, I looked at him, I was like, he looks a little bit bigger than Andre Turntine or Caleb Beasley. I like that he's played a lot of ball. And there were some pieces there that, like, oh, that's a pretty good play. That one probably not so much. Oh, that's a pretty good play. Maybe not. I want to see what he looks like against SEC speed, but there's enough there that I was like, he could be a rotational piece, definitely a special teams player, and I'm not going to be surprised if he makes a couple plays because he kind of just has that football player look to him, if that makes sense. I don't know if you watched him or not.
I didn't watch Burks.
Okay. Well, I'll just leave it on that. And then the other guys, the tight end from South Georgia, I watched him a little bit. Basically, it looks like he'll fit in well because they run a lot of the same offense that we did. He was pulling, blocking. We'll see what happens. I didn't really watch any of the other tight end from Martin or the guy from Idaho State. That guy's a good punt returner, great, because I don't want Braylon Staley back there. Braylon Staley can catch it, and he's good. I don't want him getting hurt. I want a special. Yeah. I mean, D. Williams was great for us. He won us the Texas A&M game, in my opinion. But, like, him being back there, that's his role. That's his position. If he gets hurt, we don't lose a corner. We don't lose a running back. We don't lose a wide receiver. So if he can catch punts and get 5 to 10 yards, I'm fine with it.
I want a specific person meant for returns. I like that more.
Yeah.
And you know what? I want somebody who's actually good at fucking returning, and I want Peyton Lewis back there.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Can you put anybody fucking else back there, please?
Yeah. All right, scanning through here if there's anyone else I wanted to mention. We got a new kicker. Listen, kickers are kickers. Just make the kicks when you can.
And we'll talk about you.
Yeah. I didn't watch the Isaiah guy, the corner / two-way guy at Colorado. I might watch him at some point. I know that some people – I know it was out there that, like, Deion was like, you guys thought Travis Hunter was our only two-way player. This guy's two-way player. Like, okay, we'll see what happens.
Well, you know he's going to try and make Boo a two-way player.
Yeah, that's fine.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. Last two things for me, we'll wrap this up. Is Derek Owens the best strength coach in college football? We don't know. He's the hottest name right now because Indiana went out, won a national championship, looked like they played really physical, really hard, really sound, really tough. And so if you can go pluck a guy, I mean, I was pretty surprised.
Anybody, if you can pluck anybody off of a national championship team.
It's pretty impressive. Yeah. And that's why I was like, I saw some rumblings that like, oh, Tennessee has, or I saw some stuff that was like, hey, Tennessee hasn't made a hire yet. They're waiting for the national championship game. I'm like, damn, like if
So what do you mean?
they haven't made a hire, so they're waiting for the national championship. So that means they're going to get someone from Miami or from Indiana. I'm like, okay, makes sense. I was like, I'm thinking we're going to pluck their number 2 guy and try to and then they go and get the guy that was their head guy who's now bringing his 2 and 3 guy. Yeah. I'm like, that's pretty much like flopping it on the table. Like, that's kind of impressive. Now, will it, we hope it works out and results. Strength coaches are extremely important. When I was at Memphis, we were terrible, but I can promise you we had a good strength coach. He was a guy, he played at Tennessee, actually. He was a good player at Tennessee, played in the NFL for like 10 years, offensive lineman. He was about the right shit. I can promise you it was not his fault that Memphis wasn't good that year. It was all the other coaching. So I'm not going to sit there and tell you that you having a good one makes you win games, but it is important because he is with the guys so much. I think you can talk about it more than I can. But to be able to go and pluck the number 1 guy from the national championship was pretty impressive, and hopefully it'll pay dividends. And then I'm going to say this, and then you can talk about either of them. I've already mentioned the Jim Knowles interview with Mike Keith. I really enjoyed it. These are some notes that I took. I thought, because once again, I've already made a comment, I thought they were going to say, we're going to play fast, we're going to play physical, we're not going to give up explosives, we're going to turn the ball over, we're going to negative plays. It's like we've heard it all before. This was a little weird for me. They asked, like, what do you think happens if for you to, like, win a game? He said, no explosives, 5 or less, and we win. That was, like, the first thing he said when asked about. I was like, okay. He didn't talk about turning the ball over. He didn't talk about holding them out of the end zone. He said 5 plays or less, we win the game. I reflected on that. I'm like, you know what? Tennessee gave up a lot of explosives this year. With Tim Banks over the years, I'll give Tim credit. Sometimes we'd give up a lot of yards, and then we would hold to a field goal or stop them on short yardage or in the red zone. But we gave up a lot of explosives. And football now is, when you look at percentages, if you the percentage of, say, if you start at the 30 compared to the 18, your chances of scoring are much different. So say if you start at the 18 and you've got one 25-yard, 30-yard play, whatever you want to consider explosive, like those are bigger difference when you look at the analytics of the game. I thought that was pretty – he says 5 or less will win. I was like, okay. Forced throwing downs. Something I didn't feel like I heard a lot lately. I felt like I heard a lot of that growing up. There's like, we want to get these guys to a 3rd and long, 2nd and long, like automatic. We all know it's throwing downs, because then he knows that he can show these exotic looks, get to these guys. This one was very surprising for me, Kyler. Very surprising.
It's too bad we got to those down and distances and didn't capitalize last year.
Yeah. True.
Because that is what happened. There was a lot of times we were in 3rd and long, and we just, here you go.
Yeah, true. Here's the other one. I've never really heard this before. He said coverage for rush instead of rush helping the coverage. I have never in my life heard that. It's always been your D-line makes your corners and safeties look better. If they don't have any time to throw, you don't have to cover just long. And he said through disguise and quarterback holding. So he feels like if he can disguise and confuse this guy, then he gets caught holding it and the rush gets there.
That's right.
I was like, yeah, in principle, like, yeah, if you don't feel like you have elite guys on your line or in the back end, the only chance you really got is kind of disguise it and confuse them to let them win the rush. But I was a little surprised by that. And you know what? We'll see what happens, because I don't know what guys that we have that could just win a one-on-one pass rush next year. We'll have to wait and see. And then I've already mentioned it. He talked a couple times about how he thinks it's a big deal. I mean, Mike Keith specifically asked, hey, one of the things we hear, it takes a year or two to learn a Jim Knowles defense. And he said, yeah, that might be. He goes, but anywhere I've ever been, I've not been allowed to bring my own people. And Heupel gave me that opportunity. So he's got 3 or 4 of his coaches, 5 of his coaches, whatever it is. And we've already talked about the players. So hopefully that will change it. But I just thought those were something that at least I thought were worthy. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like the way he looks at things where it's not just one-sided. It's not defense making the DBs, it's like D-line making the DBs better. It's a team. It's a collaborative thing.
Yeah, and I think it was made a lot about he runs the 4.25, and I haven't really paid much attention lately of people talking about like late 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s. Like, are you a 4.3? Are you 3.4? I've said it now. I feel like for the past 5 to 8 years, it's all 4.25s and nickels because there's so much passing in the NFL and especially in college. We didn't really ever run any of the 3 safety look, and I think some of the 3 safety look that I saw from, I'm not saying Georgia did it. I feel like Georgia did it some of the best. LSU or Ole Miss did it pretty good with Golding. I know that like Oklahoma State and Knowles did it a few years back, trying to stop those Big 12 teams. But I wouldn't mind seeing some 3 safety look, because if you do have a dog in that middle that's that third safety hybrid linebacker that can trigger, and that's the key, that can trigger to stop the run, that can get to the box quickly, I think it's very difficult to pass against that. And the pre-snap does look a lot. So I would be excited to see some 3.35 type stuff from him, which I know he talked about. But like the 4.25 and some of that stuff, that's just the way the game is. I don't think that's anything special that he does formationally, because that's just what ball has been for so long.
No, I don't think anybody's coming up with something fucking new out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, everyone just kind of gets the vibe of what they prefer when you're like, all right, what kind of defense does he run? How many does he put back there? But more and more and more, like you said, there's more passing downs. There's more passing in the NFL. That I've seen teams that are running fucking both, man. They got hybrids of different defenses all mixed and jumbled up. And yeah, they might be in a 3-4 for this down and distance, but they're in a 4-2 for this down and distance. And it's just like, all right, hey, I need you guys to play different things.
Yeah. And then on a passing down, everyone shows you the double A gap mug, or everyone walked up. Everyone does it, college and pro.
Yeah, so, and it's in positions have gotten more convoluted than ever, where I need you to be my outside linebacker and defensive end. Where in the past it was like, you're a D end, you're a D end. You're not a linebacker. You're rushing the passer. I'm not asking Jared Allen and Clay Matthews. Like, those guys are rushing the fucking passer. Yeah. And now it's like, hey, I need you to drop and I need you to rush.
Yeah.
And be able to do both. And it's like the same thing at like the interior linebackers are lighter now. They're not as heavy. They can move around more. I need you to cover the slot and I need you to get in the box and tackle.
Yeah.
So it's like you're kind of mixing the guys together now, and not everybody is so position specific of that certain level of the defense, or even interior to exterior of the defense. I think that opens up the capability of doing different defenses.
Yeah. You know what defense you have to do? You know what you got to do when you play defense? You got to be able to run, hit, and tackle and be where you're supposed to be. It's never gonna change. It's just the body types now. It's like, okay, yeah, we don't have a 6'3", 245 guy eating the middle on a 3-4 defense. Like, it's just, you can't do that now, because they'll pick you apart in mismatches in the throwing game. So
that's right.
Yeah, but anyways, it was long, but I thoroughly enjoyed talking with you, hearing everything. I hope the fans liked it. I guess this is our last one for a while. So I hope everyone enjoyed it. It was great talking with you. I will miss talking with you on here. We will still talk, I'm assuming, daily or every other day type deal. But it was a fun one. Go Vols! I'm excited. I'm a little worried about next year, but hey, I got months to worry about that. So
yeah, exactly. Listen, everybody's excited for a new year, new hope. I am a little bit worried too for the offensive side of the ball and defensive, really, just because it's new.
Yeah,
it's a lot of I don't knows, which is always a little scary. But I still have that trust in Heupel. That's what keeps our hopes alive, is what we've seen out of him in the past and how much we believe that he can do what he needs to. But
And I'll say this, I'll leave with one more Jackism. We can't get beat. I'm worried about the schedule and playing a lot. And listen, the schedule is, you would think, going to be tougher than it has been the past 2 years. But people thought Texas was going to win the national championship again this year. They lost to a shitty-ass Florida team that we beat. We lost to, Oklahoma, but then Oklahoma beats Alabama, whatever. Like right now, these teams are going to change. You never know what it looks like on paper. LSU, they were going to play in the playoff last year. They don't even make it. So, we can't let the schedule beat us before we play the game.
That's correct. So, all right, brother.
Hey, brother, enjoy your snow day over there.
I'll try to. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you are watching, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment. If you're listening, rate, review, download, re-download, follow us on the listening platforms. Follow us on social media. Everything is in the description below. Just really appreciate you guys. It's been a great season. Not necessarily in the win columns, but I very much enjoyed hanging out with everybody, being with my best friend Reed. And I thank you guys so much for being great fans of the podcast, great fans of Tennessee, and supporting us through all this. Make sure you call Bacon Junk Removal if you got any junk you got to get rid of, or any demo work you need. So he does that. And yeah, just big thanks. And as always, go Vols.